Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi my loves, it's Destin Choice and you're watching Choice TV. So for today's video, I really wanted to get on here and talk about what's going on with Anna Faris. So a lot of fans are very concerned about Anna Faris' health. They see a lot of weird things going on in interviews, and when you watch interviews, you just notice something just seems off.
But I don't know how much of a huge fan I am. I've never confessed this. I really love spoofing horror movies, but I don't know how much of a huge fan I am. I've never confessed this, and I probably shouldn't do it right here, right now. It's probably a really bad idea, but I don't want to necessarily portray myself as somebody that I'm not. I'm not the biggest horror movie fan.
When Anna does interviews, she has this weird moment where she, has this weird glaze in her eyes, and her eyes dilate, and she tends to overshare a lot when she's in interviews. Like, she'll zone out and she'll talk in a bunch of circles, and it has people thinking to herself, is she on something? Is she okay? Like, did she spark something up before she did the interview?
They need to come to this theater and laugh like we used to do in the 90s.
I always thought that if I did another scary movie, that it would be like a cameo. I never thought I'd be doing this with these guys. They called me up last February, and I couldn't believe it.
And she was like, you mean I could get a check and I actually like it? Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
She's like, I'm not saying I'm not going to do scary movies. If I come in for a cameo, I'll come grab a bag and break out.
That's
But
right.
y'all telling me y'all actually going to do this? Oh, we going to do the whole movie.
And she sounded just like Howie.
She was like, you mean I could get a check and I actually like it? Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
She's like, I'm not saying I'm not going to do scary movies. If I come in for a cameo, I'll come grab a bag and break out.
That's
But
right.
y'all telling me y'all actually going to do this? Oh, we going to do the whole movie.
And she sounded just like Howie.
She has a habit of, when doing interviews, she gets really big-eyed, she freezes up, and she overshares. Almost seems like she's just not all the way there. But again, a lot of us could be a little bit dramatic. What's interesting is many people in the comments on TikTok and on Twitter were even saying things such as, is she okay? What's going on with her?
I just can't believe I'm back on this journey. I thought if I were to ever do a scary movie again, I wouldn't be feeling that positive about it, quite frankly. I thought it would be for the paycheck, for my cameo or whatever.
You did get the paycheck, though.
Go on. Hey, come on, get that money.
girl.
Get that money.
Get it, girl.
Let's talk.
No, I'm just saying, get it. I'm getting
Get it, girl.
You said we're family,
Yeah, I'm
right?
happy for you, baby girl.
Look,
Get
she's
your money.
I didn't do
We
that.
were
Shut
mad
up.
at you, Regina. Yes, but you, no, we wasn't mad at nobody. Like, but for us, like, that's crazy. We worked 40 years to have that big success, and she's like, my first movie, I came out and knocked it out the park.
Hit it right out of the park.
No.
No, I was joking. I'm joking.
Isn't it nice to be white?
Just load it up.
That's perfect, guys. So the end.
She has a
results.
habit of, when doing interviews, she gets really big-eyed, she freezes up, and she overshares. Almost seems like she's just not all the way there. But again, a lot of us could be a little bit dramatic. What's interesting is many people in the comments on TikTok and on Twitter were even saying things such as, is she okay? What's going on with her?
Hi, I'm Anna Faris, and I am here to answer some questions about the Olympics.
Her physical appearance was also discussed as well. It's very obvious that she definitely has lost a little bit of weight, and also she's definitely aged. People forget that when she did Scary Movie, she was young as hell, and she's literally going to be 50 soon. But what's so interesting is, Anna Faris, when she first did Scary Movie, she was like 22 years old. It literally came out when she was 23. You're not going to look the same when you're 22, 23 years old compared to how you look when you're 50. Everybody's bodies changes and women go through things. People are currently doing the same things to Nicki Minaj because Nicki Minaj, as we all know, has gone through a lot of shifts when it comes to her weight. And sometimes fans will record her on stage and talk about how she's out of shape, out of breath sometimes, and how she's zoned out, forgetting her lyrics and a bunch of other weird things. Then you see a lot of other things, such as a lot of our favorite entertainers aging and looking odd. The one thing that amplifies aging is stress. We could look at someone like Wendy Williams as a prime example, just like Nicki Minaj. Who knows what Nicki Minaj is going through, but let's look at someone like Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams has always been known to be a very busty and curvaceous woman. And then one day we woke up and she had lost a dramatic amount of weight. Then she had her infamous moment where she fainted on national television. Then we had her infamous moment where we found out her husband was cheating on her and there was a mistress who also had a baby. Then we all saw Wendy Williams' public spiral. So Stress is the main thing that amplifies aging in general. And now we look at someone like Wendy, and now she doesn't look too good. Part of it is aging, and part of it is life. Sometimes what people forget is aging doesn't just come with age. It also just comes with life and life phases. Sometimes people can be doing so amazing, but then all you need is one foreclosure, one audit from the IRS, and one too many children who stress you out and put you through the ringer for you to not look recognizable. Like, for example, Vivica Fox, whom we all know from Kill Bill, 2 Can Play That Game, Set It Off, who we all adore, is now aging because her body doesn't look the same. You know, when you think of Vivica Fox, you think of somebody who's snatched, sexy, the girl who had 50 Cent going crazy back then. And now when you see Vivica Fox compared to how she looked back then, you're just like, damn, who is this auntie?
I'm a woman of a certain age, and you know, life changes, the body changes, and you're not going to be the same size that you were when you were 19, 20 years old. But people forget that sometimes, and they can say very mean things to you. But I have to remember, I'm a woman, and I am comfortable in the skin I'm in, flaws and all. I do my best, honey, to keep it tight and right, but I'm still human. So, you know, I'm in a business that, you know, you get judged by your looks constantly, especially if you were like, you know, a hot chick and stuff like that. Sometimes people don't allow you the grace to age, to be normal, to live a little bit, to have children, to look a little bit more mature, to age. To age is a blessing and a beautiful thing. And so if you don't listen to the chatterbox and stay true to who you are and love who you are, you know, it can destroy you. It really can.
People oftentimes will compare someone like Vivica Fox to someone like Niecy Nash, who is damn near the same age as Vivica Fox, and she looks the exact same. People tend to freeze women in time. What's sad about aging sometimes is sometimes you can't predict how you'll age because everybody goes through life differently. Now, what's weird about people who age is you never know what people are going through. Some people watching this are probably going through foreclosures, divorces, bad breakups, children literally going down a bad path, you know, having children that don't call them. Some people are going through weird phases where they're going through psychological issues with their mental health and everything is catching up. Some people are going through issues where a lot of the stuff they did when they were younger, such as profuse drinking and smoking, is now starting to catch up with them, or the drugs they did in their past. People age horribly because sometimes life catches up with you and you can never predict it. But what people don't know is she had a very ugly divorce with Chris Pratt. So Chris Pratt, as we all know, was the guy from Parks of Recreation with Rashida. He was very popular in the late 2010s era. He was very popular as a sitcom actor. Chris Pratt also became a huge household name back in the late 2010s when he did Jurassic World and Guardians of the Galaxy, which were huge billion-dollar films and franchises. So that already shows you everything you need to know. He became a huge household name. But then as the years progressed, in the late 2010s, they ended up having their child, who was born in 2012. And sadly, their child was born prematurely. Their child was born literally 2 to 3 months early and then eventually weighed 3 pounds. So that took an emotional toll on their relationship and who they were as a couple. And they even made it very clear that even though it bonded them, it tested their relationship greatly. So that plays a very big role on her aging as well, because after her child was born, her child had huge health issues. Now, when her baby was born, she was told by doctors that her baby did have severe bleeding to the brain. So it took a while for them to process that. And then come to find out, they didn't even know if their baby was going to be fully disabled or not. They were told they would have to wait until their child was 1 year old to be able to measure if he'd be disabled because of what he was born with. On top of that, he ended up growing up and becoming a lot older. But even though he's fully healthy, he does have vision issues and he does have muscle issues in his legs. So it does play a role on why she might be a lot more stressed than people might think. After her child had health issues in the early stages of his life, they eventually went through a very ugly breakup, which then turned into a long, drawn-out divorce. So they ended up getting their divorce in the year 2017, and they ended up getting it finalized in 2018. Now, what's interesting is he ended up moving on with his girlfriend, Katherine Schwarzenegger, who's the daughter of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the famous actor. So now us seeing her years later in the year 2026, some of us are still expecting to see the same Cindy Campbell who we once saw on our screens back in the day. But what's so interesting is people associate her being awkward and weird and acting funny. She's always been like that. When you actually look at Cindy, well, more specifically Anna Faris, she's always looked like that. She's always been awkward during interviews. She's always felt weird in front of crowds of people. She's always felt weird about answering questions about her personal life because it's very clear that she has anxiety and she's also socially awkward. She's always been that way. And because she's always been that way and social media didn't exist back then, most of us don't realize that this is part of her character. This is part of her identity. We don't really know these people, what a lot of us sometimes forget to realize. I mean, life has definitely put her through the ringer like it's put most people through the ringer. And sometimes you can just see it when you see somebody you haven't seen in so many years. You ever seen somebody you went to high school with and been like, damn, they look kind of crazy. Like, life has probably been a little bit rough for them. You know, sometimes I look at even someone like Nick Cannon. You know, I don't think Nick Cannon predicted him having 12 million kids. And, you know, this is the Nick Cannon I know. Like, I remember Nick Cannon being a showstopper, being handsome as hell, six-pack, everything. This is the Nick Cannon I know and who I grew up with. And now this is the Nick Cannon that y'all know. When you see the look on his face, you could just see the marks of just stress, the marks of frustration, the marks of being overwhelmed. And now, years later, he's saying that he feels like he probably should have been more cautious before he had all these kids and a bunch more stuff. You really never know. I mean, every once in a while, he'll name drop Mariah Carey in interviews saying that he really regrets letting her go and a bunch of other shit. And then there's people like Trick Daddy. Trick Daddy was very handsome back then. He was a very good looking man. And then we find out years later that his profuse drinking and his poor eating habits definitely caught up. Because not only does he have lupus, but he definitely hasn't aged the best compared to how people first were introduced to him. And then we could look at somebody else. We could look at someone like Leonardo DiCaprio. Look at someone like Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio is the guy from Titanic, the really smoking hot guy from the movies, from Titanic. And then you see him now and it's like, yikes, wasn't this guy like known to be super, super sexy back then? And then now look. And then look at someone like Genuine. You know, we keep forgetting the men, but we can also talk about the men too. Let's not just make this about women. Genuine was known for being one of the most sexiest people alive. And now look.
So new generation's taking in like your So how do you feel about that?
I've always appreciated anyone that's young using my music. I mean, I've got Britney Spears, Rihanna, Pop Smoke, just so many people that's using Pony and Differences and stuff like that.
And that's no disrespect to them. I'm just trying to make a point that people like to freeze people in time because we have access to Scary Movie all these years later, and we're always seeing these clips on TikTok. We see people like Genuine still, you know, dancing Pony on stage in the 1990s and early 2000s, even though he did that damn near over 25, sometimes even 30 years ago. You're not going to look the same that you looked 30 years ago. That's the crazy part about life. You really never know what life throws at you. All you can really do is just try to age gracefully by just putting up boundaries and just being a decent fucking person. You really never know what life will throw at you. You know, when you see people like Anna Faris aging and you see that, you know, life has been pretty hard and she seems spaced out, I think that's something that maybe most of us will probably understand as the years progress because you really never know what she might have. What's crazy is a lot of us had to learn from watching someone like Wendy Williams having a whole public demise and then seeing Chadwick Boseman pass away to understand that sometimes people go through shit as age goes by. It really scares me a little bit because you just never know what life will throw at you sometimes. And it's sad because sometimes when I see people make these anti-aging creams and these anti-aging lotions and they be trying to like say, oh, this is anti-aging. And I see young people, you know, going on TikTok buying all this shit because they saw one little age mark. It really worries me just a little bit how sometimes people could be so obsessed with their physical appearance and put their confidence on only their physical features. And sometimes people forget that the opposite of aging is death. But that's that for this video. I hope you guys see where I'm coming from. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, that's that. Choice out this bitch. Why don't we fall in love? It's so many reasons. It's the only thing that matters to me. It's so many reasons. It takes such a load off to let you know that you're the only one I won't ever want to go. Think I never did know what to do. A love I never felt, now I feel for you.
Why don't I just swallow each and every ounce of my pride? Everything you do, I want to feel again. Ain't no use for us to pretend, 'cause why do we, why can't we, why do we, why can't we, why do we, why can't we fall in love? That's all you get for free. Thanks for watching, y'all. Follow me on Instagram and join my Patreon.